The Bhowmick family murder that shocked everyone, even the detectives. In a quiet neighborhood, a seemingly normal family lived their lives like any other. But beneath the surface, secrets were brewing that would lead to one of the most shocking and tragic stories ever shared. This isn't just any story. It's one filled with mystery, dark decisions, and chilling twists. Stick around as we dive deep into the unsettling events that unfolded, revealing the disturbing truths hidden behind closed doors. If you enjoy hearing intriguing and thought-provoking stories from Reddit, make sure to like this post and hit subscribe for more. Let's uncover the details together. On the serene afternoon of August 1st, 1999, in the bustling city of Jamshedpur, India, a distressed 45-year-old man named Anupam Roy approached the desk at Gorabanda police station. Identifying himself as a local doctor, he frantically conveyed his disturbing predicament. His sister, 40-year-old Lucky Bhowmick, had mysteriously vanished with her entire family, stirring grave concerns for their well-being. With a quivering voice that underscored his anxiety, Anupam recounted the last known whereabouts of his sister and her family. The officers, sensing the urgency of the situation, promptly recorded his statement and prepared to investigate further. They accompanied Anupam to Lucky's residence, hoping to uncover any signs of the missing family. Upon reaching the property, they observed that both the compound gate and the front door were firmly secured. Anupam then mentioned an alternative entry through a back door. The officers, determined to enter, scaled the compound wall only to find the rear door also bolted from the inside, deepening the mystery. Undeterred, the police decided to gather more information from the surrounding area. They interviewed the neighbors, who shared a troubling observation. None had seen Lucky or her family for several months. The house appeared to have been deserted for an extended period, with no clues about the family's whereabouts or the reason behind their sudden disappearance. Acting on this alarming information, the police resolved to break the locks and access the house. As they breached the entrance, a pungent odor of decay met them, compelling the officers to cover their faces with handkerchiefs. They ventured further into the home, searching for the source of the foul smell. Their investigation led them to a shocking discovery in the living room: a pile of clothes strewn across a corner. As they sifted through the garments, they uncovered disturbingly dried bloodstains embedded in the fabric. Anupam, witnessing this grim find, appeared increasingly unnerved and fearful, realizing the grim reality of the situation. The police, now convinced of a horrific incident within the walls, intensified their search. They scrutinized every corner of the house and its surroundings. During their thorough examination, they discovered that the telephone lines had been deliberately severed, adding another layer of mystery to the unfolding case. Initially, the police conjectured that the house might have been the scene of a robbery. However, this hypothesis was quickly challenged by the securely locked doors and gates, all fastened from the inside without any evidence of forced entry. The situation puzzled the officers as they scoured the property for clues that might offer some insight into the events that transpired. As they extended their investigation to the rear of the property, an unsettling sight near the septic tank caught their attention. The tank's lid had been unnaturally sealed with cement, suggesting a deliberate attempt to conceal its contents. Nearby, they discovered discarded acid bottles, empty fennel containers, and packets of bleaching powder, hinting at a grim scenario. Prompted by these ominous findings, the police wasted no time breaking open the cemented lid. The grim reality that awaited inside the tank was beyond their darkest forebodings. They retrieved several sacks submerged in its murky waters, each one promising a macabre revelation. The opening of the first sack confirmed their worst fears. Both the police and Anupam Roy were overcome with horror as they discovered the Bhowmick family, known locally as the Bhowmick family due to a common mispronunciation, lived in the Telco colony of Jamshedpur, Jharkhand. This residential area, developed for industrial workers, hosted numerous families who had relocated from distant regions in search of employment. Among them, the Bhowmick family appeared as a typical, content household with 5 members. Masking the dark secrets that lay within, Shubhendu Bhowmick, the patriarch of the Bhowmick family, was a dedicated employee at the telco company, striving hard to provide for his family. His wife, Lucky, took on the responsibilities of managing the household with love and diligence. Their children, 14-year-old Kalyan and college student Chaitali, were both bright students with promising futures, deeply engrossed in their studies. Lucky's mother, Anita, also resided with them, adding to the family's warmth. She participated in their daily routines and shared their moments of joy. On the morning of January 29th, 1999, the family started their day as any other. Shubhendu left for work after breakfast, and Kalyan went out to play in the afternoon following his meal, leaving only Lucky, Chaitali, and Anita at home. The Bhowmicks were well regarded in their community for their amicable nature. Lucky and Anita frequently engaged with neighbors and ran errands locally. However, on this particular day, a noticeable silence enveloped their home. Neighbors initially dismissed the quietness, assuming the family was preoccupied with personal matters. Days stretched into a week, and the continued absence of any family member from public view began to arouse suspicion in the neighborhood. It was unusual for the whole family to be away without notice. Then, unexpectedly, a member of the Bhowmick family was seen. A neighbor, growing concerned, inquired about Lucky and Anita's whereabouts. The family member nonchalantly replied that they had all traveled to attend a wedding at a relative's residence. This explanation momentarily satisfied the inquisitive neighbor, who chose not to probe further. The family member quickly retreated inside, and the house reverted to its unsettling quietude. Days passed, and neighbors started to feel uneasy as the silence around the Bhowmick residence persisted. Relatives attempted to make contact through calls and messages, all of which went unanswered. Simultaneously, Shubhendu's uncharacteristic absence from work was noted. He had not been to his job for the past 6 months, and despite multiple visits by company representatives, the house remained locked and deserted. This prolonged absence finally alarmed Chaitali's uncle, Dr. Anupam Roy, who grew increasingly concerned after months without contact from his sister Lucky or their mother Anita. In June of that year, despite his demanding schedule as a doctor, Anupam Roy made the decision to visit the Bhowmick residence in Telco Colony to check on his sister and her family. To his dismay, he found the house locked. Concerned, he inquired with the neighbors, who revealed that no one had seen the family since January. Anupam's worry deepened, prompting him to file a missing persons report with the local police. What unfolded next, the grim discovery of dismembered bodies in the septic tank, was a chilling development that shocked everyone. However, the key questions remained unanswered. Who was responsible for the murder of the Bhowmick family? What was the motive behind such a heinous act? And, most puzzlingly, who was the mysterious family member spotted by neighbors after the family had supposedly disappeared? Determined to uncover the truth, the police launched a thorough investigation. As they delved deeper into the lives of the Bhowmicks, they stumbled upon troubling information about Shubhendu's college-going daughter, Chaitali. It came to light that Chaitali had recently begun to misuse the independence granted to her by her father. Rather than focusing on her education, she frequently skipped classes and spent her time at local cinemas with friends. Her adventurous streak extended beyond casual outings. She often wandered aimlessly through the city, seeking excitement. During one such excursion, Chaitali visited the Keenan Cricket Stadium to watch a cricket match. Amid the cheering crowd, she crossed paths with a 21-year-old cricketer named Syed Rizwan. Their first interaction was innocent. Chaitali approached Rizwan to ask for his autograph. This seemingly mundane encounter soon blossomed into a friendship that grew deeper over time. The two began. This escalation of conflict created an unbearable tension within the family. After the Bhowmicks disappeared, the police investigation uncovered accounts from neighbors who claimed to have seen someone active at the house for a short period following their disappearance. The individual was soon identified as none other than Chaitali herself. Intrigued by this revelation, the police decided to track Rizwan through the cricket board, hoping his whereabouts might offer critical clues. Before the investigation could proceed further, a startling turn of events occurred. Chaitali and Rizwan appeared at the court and voluntarily surrendered themselves. The confession they made to the authorities sent shockwaves through everyone involved in the case. They laid bare the tragic series of events that had culminated in such a horrific outcome. Chaitali, with a trembling voice, recounted how her father's explosive reaction to her relationship with Rizwan had shaken her to the core. Shubhendu, who had always been a loving and kind parent, became unrecognizably hostile. The intensity of his threats to kill her and Rizwan terrified her beyond words. It was not just his rage, but the looming fear of her pregnancy being discovered that pushed her into despair. The pressure of facing her family's wrath, coupled with the fear of societal shame, left Chaitali feeling trapped and hopeless. Her confession shed light on the emotional turmoil she endured and how it drove her to make decisions that would irreversibly alter not only her life, but the lives of everyone around her. Chaitali's mind was consumed by fear and despair. She became convinced that her family would kill her if they discovered her secret. With no support and feeling utterly alone, she spiraled into a state of panic. This isolation drove her to an unthinkable conclusion. The only way to escape her dire situation was to eliminate those who stood in her way. It was a decision born out of fear and confusion, one no one should ever have to make. When Chaitali shared her horrifying plan with Rizwan, he was initially appalled and hesitant. He argued that they didn't need to resort to such extremes, suggesting instead that they run away together and start anew in a distant place. Rizwan tried to reason with her, hoping to find a less drastic solution, but Chaitali was adamant. She believed her family's influence would follow them wherever they went, and the possibility of her parents filing a missing person report would only complicate their lives further. Chaitali ultimately persuaded Rizwan that the only way to be free was to remove her family from the equation entirely. Her plan included not only killing her family, but also taking their money, jewelry, and other. The duo then descended the stairs to Lucky's bedroom. Her mother was resting after a day of household chores, blissfully unaware of the horror that had just taken place. Using the same method, they worked together to strangle Lucky, silencing her forever. With both women dead, Chaitali and Rizwan waited for the next phase of their plan to unfold: the return of Kalyan, Chaitali's younger brother. Kalyan, a ninth-grade student, returned home from school that afternoon, ringing the doorbell as usual. Chaitali greeted him at the door, her demeanor calm but calculated. As Kalyan stepped inside, Rizwan, concealed behind the door, lunged at him without warning. Wrapping his hands around Kalyan's neck, Rizwan began strangling the boy. Startled and gasping for air, Kalyan fought back, struggling with all his might. Chaitali, however, intervened to restrain her brother, holding his hands tightly to prevent him from defending himself. Despite his desperate attempts to break free, Kalyan succumbed, his life slipping away. Once he was lifeless, Chaitali and Rizwan hid his body in the kitchen, ensuring no evidence was immediately visible. Now, they braced themselves for the final act, confronting Shubhendu when he returned from work. Later that evening, Shubhendu arrived home, ringing the doorbell as he always did. Chaitali opened the door, greeting her father with an air of normalcy. Shubhendu, unsuspecting, walked inside. As he crossed the threshold, Rizwan sprang from his hiding spot behind the main door, wielding an iron rod. With a swift and brutal strike, he hit Shubhendu on the head, sending him crashing to the floor, bleeding profusely. Though the blow left Shubhendu disoriented and faint, he regained some consciousness and attempted to fight back. Rizwan quickly overpowered him, pinning him down and strangling him with unrelenting force. Chaitali stood by, ensuring the plan was carried out. Within minutes, Shubhendu's struggle ceased, and he, too, was lifeless. Now faced with the grim task of disposing of 4 bodies, Chaitali and Rizwan deliberated on their next move. After a brief discussion, they decided to dismember the corpses and hide the remains in the septic tank, believing this to be the most effective way to conceal their crimes. With chilling precision, they set about executing this final, horrifying step of their plan. The gruesome plan was now set in motion, and Chaitali and Rizwan began carrying out the horrifying task of disposing of the bodies. After agreeing to the plan, Chaitali and Rizwan were arrested, tried, and sentenced to death for their heinous acts. However, the story did not end there. The couple appealed their convictions in the Jharkhand High Court. In July 2004, the court commuted their death sentences to life imprisonment, sparking a debate about justice and the appropriateness of their punishment. During the trial, Chaitali gave birth to a son while incarcerated. 2 years later, the child was handed over to Rizwan's mother, as the court deemed Chaitali unfit to raise him in prison. The case remains a chilling reminder of how fear, despair, and misguided love can lead to unimaginable actions. This case is a haunting reminder of how fear, desperation, and unchecked emotions can lead to devastating outcomes. What seemed like an ordinary family life unraveled into a tragedy of unimaginable proportions, leaving scars that would never heal. The story of Chaitali and Rizwan serves as a stark warning about the consequences of unresolved conflicts and the choices we make under pressure. Thank you for following this gripping story. If you found it compelling, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thought-provoking Reddit stories. Your support helps us bring you more content like this. Stay curious, stay thoughtful, and we'll catch you in the next story.